I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will apply, for the benefit of the sick, all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say, I know not, nor will I fail to call on my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. May I always act to preserve the finest principles of my provider and help to preserve it, which allows me to enjoy life and art.
A very good morning and Shubha Navabarsha to all of you present here. Ladies and gentlemen, in this exceptional situation of global health crisis due to COVID pandemic, the entire world is captured by fear and grief. To uplift your spirits, I take the opportunity to remind you all that today is 11th Foundation Day of our institute. To commemorate this special occasion, we all have arranged a small program here with appropriate precautions like social distancing and others. It is always a great privilege to mention that this institute is the brainchild and noble work of our respected founder and chairman, Professor R.P. Gupta. Today, when we all have gathered here to celebrate its 15th birthday, unfortunately, our chairman is unable to participate due to unavoidable circumstances. But we are very keen to hear a few inspirational words from him on this special day. Although not physically present, he is always there to guide us. So let's hear from our chairman straight from Newcastle.
Dear colleagues, Shubha Navabarsha. Today I welcome you to this 11th Foundation Day celebration. I am doing this from my sitting room in Newcastle, watching beautiful garden with a smiling daffodil at the spring sunshine, since all my plan for this celebration came to an abrupt halt thanks to Corona's Corona. The whole world is now at a standstill. Some of our colleagues wanted to cancel the Foundation Day program. However, I am very happy that others thought differently. Foundation Day is very auspicious. It is the birthday of our institute. It had a very painful birth with political wrangle and difficulty in fundraising due to economic crisis in 2008. In spite of all this, a beautiful baby was born, and the baby with great pride and prize. So to remember its birthday is sacrosanct, albeit without many of our colleagues, friends, and well-wishers. However, some of our colleagues are attending morning assembly daily and looking after the helpless indoor patients in spite of their safety concern. This birthday celebration would boost their morale, so I hope the organizers will observe this limited celebration with great fanfare. I am delighted that our special invited guest, the British Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Nick Lowe, will be in celebration with the aid of technology, of course. So shall I be. I am sure Dr. Rishi Kumar will make a memorable occasion for you in more than one way. I am not going to bore you with our glory or current misery with 75% reduction of cash flow during the COVID-19 crisis. Many staff, directors or well-wishers are worrying about our survival if the lockdown continues. But we have gone through many struggles during the formation of this institute, and this economic hardship will not deter us from our dream to reach the promised land. When we built this institute 11 years ago, we had to beg, borrow, or coerce the unwilling, whereas today we have many assets such as 700 staff, our patients, and many friends. What we need today is just not to deviate from our mission. On this Foundation Day, I wish to tell you a story that someone sent me on WhatsApp. This is about a true life story of the great American inventor Thomas Edison. Although many of you may have already seen it, I like to see it again with you one more time.
10th, 1914. There was a massive explosion in West Orange, New Jersey, United States of America. 10 buildings in a factory owned by the legendary inventor Thomas Edison were engulfed by flames. 6 to 8 fire departments rushed to the scene but could not curb the chemical-fueled inferno. After having tried all that he could, as Thomas Edison calmly stood there, watching the fire destroy his entire life's hard work, his 24-year-old son Charles came over and stood next to him. In a childlike voice, Edison said to his son, "Charlie, go and get your mother and her friends. They'll never be able to see a spectacular fire like this in their entire life." Astonished and shocked by his father's response, Charles asked Thomas Edison, "Our entire factory is being burnt down to ashes, Dad." Thomas Edison replied, in complete composure, "Yes, our factory is being burnt down to ashes. But all the mistakes we have made so far in the factory have also been burnt down to ashes. We will start all over again tomorrow." That evening, Thomas Edison told a New York Times reporter, "Although I'm 67 years old and I'm completely exhausted from running around and trying to control the fire, tomorrow I'll start all over again, afresh." And so he did.
I like this story as it reminded me of my own experience with a senior monk who, out of kindness, advised me to be contented with the National Neurosciences Center. I was already 67 years old and not to embark on any new project for this institute. Later on, of course, he became my great admirer. Let me finish my welcome address with a verse from Bhagavad Gita. It says, "If you do not fight for what you want, do not cry for what you lost." Everything depends on work, because even the luck has to work. Please believe that all of us can make a mark. I cannot be with you physically, but I am enjoying with you and saluting your dedication. Happy Easter, happy birthday of INK, and many happy returns. Wishing you my greetings of Poila Bushak, and thank you and namaskar.
This inspirational message from Sir was exactly what we required at this critical situation. A few words from him will surely help us to reinforce our team spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now dispel the darkness and light the lamp of knowledge and fill the environment with divine positivity. May I now request Dr. Rishikesh Kumar, our Vice Chairman, our CEO, Colonel Dr. Saumen Basu, our Additional CEO, Ms. Shweta Basu, and Medical Superintendent, Ms. Dr. Mungwa Koldar, to kindly come forward. May I request Dr. Gerber? Thank you so much. Mr. S.P. Mukherjee, please kindly come forward. As we are maintaining social distancing, we are avoiding. And fill our lives with positivity and help us to fight this battle in a much better way. Now we'll move on to our cake cutting ceremony. Because all the birthdays are not complete without cake cutting. Dr. Rishikesh Kumar, Dr. Jalwar, Dr. Saumen Basu, Dr. Mohwat. Dr. Saumen Basu, please. May I now request our Vice Chairman, Dr. Rishikesh Kumar, to kindly say a few words on this special occasion.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy that despite this gloom feeling we are keeping this birthday has to be celebrated. I'm very happy that all are here. This foundation day of birthday is 11th, and 11 is very auspicious in our culture. So we would not let it go without celebrating, and that's why we are here. Of course, we are missing this gentleman, this man, and without him, without his physical presence, this is watered down person. But still, we have to do that. And his spirits are here. His video is here. You heard about that. So what I will talk today in say 7 or 8 minutes time. A lot of things are his thoughts, and I understand that that's fair enough. We keep on talking of how INK was born, how INK has progressed, but keep in mind INK is no longer a kid. INK is already born, so just harping on how it was born, how it progressed, that's not going to help us. Now we are being measured with parameters used for men and not the kids. So we should not harp upon that we have born and we have done very well. We have to see that how we survive, how we thrive. That's more important in present scenario. How we have fared over these 11 years, I was in one line that we have done pretty well. We have emerged as Apex Neuro Institute of Eastern India of this region. There's no doubt about that. Any patient of neuro, be it neurosurgery, be it neurointervention, be it neurology, neuro rehab, they come to this place for opinion or final opinion. Progress made over many years. I won't go into detail because this is our own crowd, but still just to remind that we have about 190-bed neuro hospital. New clinics have opened, 3 new clinics have opened, more doctors, more staff, Products comes first in Eastern India, maximum neuro intervention in this region, and largest neuro university of the region. So we should be proud about it. We should be proud that we have grown quite a lot in last few years' time. And this goes on. INK has been able to put a large team, and total number of employees today is 713. Out of them, 67 doctors, the special shout for two doctors who are from abroad and working here for many, many years. Thanks to Chris for being here, and thanks to Dr. Kumar too. RMO 75, RMOs, full-time RMOs, nurses and staff 631, GDA housekeeping 156, and 666. So when you add everything, about more than 700 staff. And mind you, it's not only 700. Each family has at least 3 or 4 people. So INK is supporting, or INK is support for at least 3,000 people directly, right? And many people indirectly, like washerman who is attached to it, like suppliers who are attached to it. They are getting their livelihood for INK. So we are like a small industry. We are supporting 3,000 directly and more than 10,000 indirectly. So you can imagine that this is a sort of industry. I will given a spirit of ownership. That's the most important thing. When we sit together, we fight on small things for some time, but at the end of the day, what happens is that we know that our voice will be heard, and this place in the module is very important. So who says that is being heard and that is being judged and that is being implemented. So every one of us, each of us should have some ownership in this institute. We should think of a leader in our own sphere, in department, in your OPD. We should think as a leader yourself rather than just working for this institute and going back home in the evening. Some numbers over the years, and thank Shubhati for all these numbers, and also Mr. Brahmo. OPD has increased, when you see that I won't go into details, but when you see that each year OPD has increased, and right now the last year 13,000 plus. Admissions have increased, right now 8,000 plus per year, which was 7,900 last year. Number of OT has increased. There was a lull in 1 year, I think in 17-18, but after that OT has again increased. CT has increased, MRI has increased. So everything we see, like all the major parameters of the hospital, that has improved, that has increased. Of course, in ultrasound and X-ray, there is some stagnancy, but we should actually understand that this is ultrasound or X-ray is not our focus area. Focus is MRI and CT scan. So these numbers are good. These numbers make us feel good that we are improving, we are growing. DSA has increased again. But when you come to analyze this data, when you see last 2 years, OPD, it has increased, but not the way it was increasing earlier. So maybe we are reaching to a ceiling. Beyond that, it's difficult to increase right now. Or maybe we have to do something new to increase these numbers. Likewise, admission from 8,000 to 8,300. So it has increased, but not to that extent. Say the MRI, 16,000 to 18,000. The jump looks to be 2,000, but mind you, now we have 2 machines. 2 years back we had 1 machine, and despite 2 machines, the increase is not what we expect. So things are improving, things are growing, but not to that rate which we like. Over here comes efficiency, and efficiency of various units. Over here, in the jargon of finances, in the jargon of mathematics, I would say output and input. Think of an MRI. How much we are spending per patient for that MRI? That depends upon the staff, that selling to the staff, that depends upon the MRI cost, and how much we are getting from them. So that difference is very important for a survival of any institute, any place. And I must say that because of expansion for 3 buildings, this output has, this input has increased. We have to spend more money to get the same amount of money what we used to do. It means about 8 to 9 crore rupees per month to keep the wheel moving. What Mr. Brahmo says that just keeping afloat. So at least this much amount of money we need just to keep afloat, and beyond that is only profit. So we have to keep that in mind. Coming to education, we are churning out DND, diploma and PhD, and this year itself we'll have 5 DND neurology neurosurgeon coming out, and hopefully they will join us and they will increase the strength of our staff. Research for last 5 years, we are regularly among the top in the award section of top congresses like IEM or MDSI. We have multiple publications, and our publications of research work is not merely reproduction. We just don't write 2 case reports and reproduce the work that has been done outside. Our main focus is to produce a new data. It's putting the original data on the table. Our focus is not to have another publication. Our focus is originality, and I'm proud that things are moving. Now, what future we hold for us at INK? Every time we talk about SNIUCID, our majority of us faith is in joint care at INK. If we are doing better, INK will do better, or vice versa. SNIUCID is a long-term goal, but a long-term goal. In best circumstances also, in best situation also, it will take at least 10 years time for this to fructify. So we should have small goals also. In pursuit of big goals, we should not miss the small goals. And the small goals for each of us should be subspecialty development, like movement disorders, like epilepsy, like in psychiatry, child psychiatry, so in neurosurgery, aneurysmal surgery. So we should think of more of subspecialty development. Each person should be selfish in the way that each person should develop their own skill. And once you develop your own skill, that will add to the growth of INK. We still are not complete. Sometimes I'm ashamed to say some patient that we don't have atomic lab, we don't have a gamma knife, we don't have properly functioning sleep lab. So these are tenets of, these are parts of neurology hospital. Everything should be complete, which we don't have right now. So near goals, we should have all this together. I get a price of 2 things, and I'm very happy about that. Hard work at all levels. I can tell you that in Calcutta itself, in India, the way we work is amazing. The way we work is much different from all hospitals of Calcutta and even the country. So hard work at all levels, I would say. Not only doctors, admin staff, the junior staff, lift man, security man, everybody is working very hard. Accountability is there. Cross-referrals are very important. We refer to each other, and that improves the service to the patients. Showing up hands in case of need, as what is happening right now in the COVID. There are people who are coming forward, they are showing up hands. And impact of patients. So in these tenets, in these groups, we have done pretty well. I'm very proud about that. But mind you, that there is room for improvement every time, right? We should not be very happy that we have done enough. At each level, we can improve. Let's say cross-referral. Suppose I see a patient of spine, and I feel that the patient doesn't need surgery without sending to Chris or without sending to neurosurgeon. If the patient goes to NIMHANS and he gets surgery and gets better, that's wrong on my behalf. What I have done, I have met INK, look down, right? If I have a patient which I feel that I'm not good enough, I should take opinion from everybody rather than the patient comes to me and goes to NIMHANS or CMC below and gets a better treatment. So we have this resources, we should use all the resources. We don't shy of difficult patient. I can tell you many times what I have to feel that it's difficult patient party is difficult, they're taking more time after the round. That's okay. Sometimes we have this feeling that this is jari karte hain bolte hain, let it go out. So that's okay. But what happens, these patients who are difficult, who are dying, if they improve, they make your name in the market. A patient of facial palsy won't take the name in the market. But if a brain hemorrhage who is dying and patient improves, walks, that will name in the market. So sometimes this effort on the patient, the effort of the family member improves your improves the standing. This is very important. I am very happy that in INK what I have seen as compared to any hospital in Calcutta, this interpersonalization, myself, anybody else or vice versa, we are 10 out of 10. We are friends, we refer the patients, any call we sit together, we joke with each other, and we don't mind. So that's very important and we have to continue that. Some area of introspection. So we talked about good things, now some area of introspection also. We need to do more for the poor, as an institute and individually. Of course, we have some poor patients, but ask yourself, we are not doing enough for the poor. If poor has no money for surgery, many times they have to go to some other place, which is not correct. We should try to have more fund. We should try to have some fund for the poor, so that we have to do more. Maybe individually we have to do more. Maybe for this COVID, we should. I'm just giving an idea that one day salary we should send to this fund, the COVID fund. We have to be a little more efficient at all levels. Obviously we have, but a little more efficient. And efficiency without making noise. A lot of people are there all over the world that they may do less and make more noise. You have to identify that. For some people, they work without making noise and they are good workers. So as an admin, we have to identify them and stimulate them, uplift them, rather than just neglect them. And vice versa. Some people make a lot of noise and less work, so we have to identify them. We should also identify time eaters. Who are time eaters? What functions are time eaters and resource guzzlers. Once we sit, keep on doing the work, we will lose that. So we have to sit sometimes, say that what are the time eaters, what are the resource guzzlers, and what can improve our efficiency. And this fighting tendency of Hobena, many times, not in all the aspects, some persons may be like junior colleagues or maybe staff, take it a Hobena. This tendency is we should hate this tendency, that Hobena, how we can do that. And this tendency is little more particular specific for this region of the country. We should advertise, I told you not to make a noise, but we should advertise ourselves in decent way. What it means, we can have more conferences. If you have more conferences, people come from outside. If you organize, if they see your work, we should go out attend conferences, we should present our research paper. If you put research paper in a national 3-4 year, they will know INK in all fields. We need to go digital. This is very important for all doctors. Unfortunately, we are not doing well here. Time has come to be digital. In Western country, nobody writes no prescription. Everything is recorded. And this will help you legally, this will help you to research, and this will help you to improve your efficiency also. What happens in my clinic, first time, we spend more time to write the things. But when the patient comes for the second time, everything is there. Medicines are there. Cut, copy, paste, one medicine, change, patient goes. So we have to be digital, and this year we should take the promise that everybody will become digital, and we have the platform. So this platform is good enough, we'll talk about that, but we have to be digital. We must prepare for new normal post-COVID, because post-COVID things are going to change. Change in the sense that we have to rely more on telemedicine. Not all patients, but everybody has some room for telemedicine. Those patients who are not coming from, who are difficult in coming, we should have telemedicine facility. I won't say telemedicine will replace OPD, but everybody should have some telemedicine facility. No need to have frequent physical admin meetings. In admin also, emails in Western country or any efficient place, emails work for quite a lot. Emails, and we expect that we are on the email, we are seeing the email and replying to the email. So emails is a very, very forceful part of communication. We may rely on more on mails and video meeting platforms like Zoom. Try to minimize gathering. So I planned that when I start OPD, I asked my secretary that don't call all the patients at 10. The patient should be very strictly called at 10:20, 10:40. So in one go, outside there's not a lot of crowd. Because this COVID is going to stay for a longer time. One patient has COVID and you have called every patient at 10. One patient has spread COVID to everybody. So as admin, we should think that we should stagger the OPD. So that at one place, time there is no big crowd. Nurses all our staff deserve respect. We are respecting them, but sometimes we lose some our control. In that case, we should go back and apologize because they deserve respect. And being a stakeholder, we talked about what our duties, what we should do. At the same time, what are the rights? That's very important. And we deserve to be treated well. We deserve to be paid well, reasonably well at least, and deserve to have ease of work. And I'm sure that we all are looking into it. And the present set of facilitators, I would say, I won't use the word admin, facilitators like CEO, additional CEO, Mr. SPM, the finance Mr. Brahmo, they all are looking into it. They all are trying to make the work easy for us. We emerged as Apex Institute of the region. We should not be happy about that. The reason is that it's a word region. If you are very happy with being the top in this region, you are gone. Because being a Thanedar in this village is nothing. You have to be at the top. You have to think of national leader, you have to think of international leader, rather than just being happy in Calcutta we are best, or in the East we are best. So there was talk of survival of INK at stake. I would say this is laughable. INK will survive. It's not going to die. It will survive. It has come to this place. It doesn't need me or anybody else. It is going to survive. Now, respect for these guys. In the COVID, you can see that this emergency guys. See, we come here. We come to the 9 for some in IPD. We go back at 2 or 3 p.m. and still we feel that we are talking frontline staff. Think of them. There is an emergency. They go inside the ambulance to see that the patient has COVID score. What is COVID score? So, respect for these guys. Respect for these nurses who has come from Kerala, who has come from hardest place and working with us, leaving their family, and they're staying in this lockdown. Not with the husband, not with the kids also. And thank you very much. Stay safe and long live INK. More than 2 words.
Thank you so much, sir, for depicting our chairman's thoughts and vision and also depicting our success story so well. We would also like to congratulate you for managing this crisis situation so well, along with the entire team of INK. Now we have a special message by our special guest, Mr. Nick Lowe, the British Deputy High Commissioner in Kolkata, in the form of a video message. So let's hear.
A very good morning to you, and day late, Shubha Novaboshu. Very, very happy New Year. I'm Nick Lowe, the British Deputy High Commissioner, Consul General to East and North East India, talking to you from my home address in Kolkata, where, in common with the rest of the city, I'm currently locked down. I'm hugely honoured. It's a great privilege to speak to you on the anniversary, the 11th anniversary of the founding of the Institute of Neurosciences Kolkata. These are difficult times, you don't need me to tell you, but you exemplify the very best of how mankind is responding to this outbreak. It's an outbreak that's revealed the very best, and sadly in a few cases, the very worst of human nature. But you are big people doing big things. And I suspect you're probably not getting the credit for that you deserve. Day in, day out, those of you who are working are putting yourself in the front line, putting the needs of others, the weak, the vulnerable, in front of your own needs. And I warmly commend you and praise you for that. We are very proud of you, and I'm sure your families and your friends are too. And we should be celebrating this. We really should be. You know, for me, Institute of Neurosciences Kolkata is the embodiment of two things at the very heart of the relationship between the United Kingdom and India. The first is the living bridge. And Institute of Neurosciences Kolkata has really strong links with the United Kingdom. It's UK DNA right through it, and we're very proud of it. It's not just Robin Sengupta, although Robin Sengupta is such an immense personality and has been the driving force behind this. But it's people like Rajeshwar, it's people like Chris Berger, and all the many others of you with links to the United Kingdom who've studied there, who do online courses there. We are hugely proud. Living Bridge, it's not a historic thing, it's modern, it's dynamic, it's vibrant, and we think it's a fantastic aspect of what we do together. The second is our force for good, and you're very much at the heart of that. Force for good is the United Kingdom and India working together on the great global issues of our time. The great global issues that will determine what the world that my little boy, who you've probably just seen behind me, and my other child, my daughter, will live in the years to come. The United Kingdom and India are clearly at the forefront of the fight against coronavirus, and there are lessons to be learned here. If we look at Italy, sad situation, but my mind is drawn to the old Italian proverb that bad news happens for a good reason. And as His Holiness the Pope recently said in Rome, that we can't have healthy lives living in a sick world. And we must draw on the global community's response to coronavirus to find inspiration. I'm really heartened by the common purpose that we're seeing, the global community working together to ensure countries have access to the medicines, the personal protective equipment they need, working together to ensure that we can repurpose existing drugs, that we can develop a vaccine absolutely as quickly as possible. But in doing that, we must be careful that we don't take our eyes off other balls. I'm very much aware that so much to commend about the global community's response to Ebola, but unfortunately, the effort that went into that meant that we took our eyes off the balls of things like measles and malaria, and death rates in both went up very, very highly. So yes, we do need repurposed medicines, we do need a vaccine for COVID, we do need, as a global community, to do much more work on coronaviruses, but not at the risk of abandoning the fight against, for example, antimicrobial resistance, which, if we get it wrong, will be much, much worse. I think also this really brings into focus struggle against climate change. If we get climate change wrong, if we reach what His Royal Highness Prince William described as a tipping point, and actually no one knows what that might look like, what the tipping point look like. It stops raining and the world suffers terrible droughts, it rains too much and we have terrible floods, the polar ice caps melt at a much greater rate than they currently are, and we lose huge amounts of arable land all around the earth, all the impacts that will have. That would be much, much worse. There is a light at the end of the tunnel with coronavirus. It is going to get better. Some parts of the world it's getting better already. I'm not sure that's going to be the case for climate change if we don't do something about it. So we need to learn the lessons as a global community and make sure we get this right. I didn't mean to be depressing, and I don't think there's cause to be depressed. You at Institute of Neurosciences Kolkata show us the best of human nature. You show us there is a better way. You show that individuals and small groups of individuals can make an enormous impact on the everyday lives of ordinary people. You are extraordinary. You are the living bridge. You are a force for good. Here's my offer to you. A year from now, we'll celebrate 12 years. So let's have a really big party. And I want to be there in person, not on a video screen. I really do want to be there in person so we can properly celebrate all the great stuff that you're doing. You are extraordinary people. I take my hat off to you. Stay safe, stay well, keep up all the good work. I wish you very well indeed. Thank you.
Good morning. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. With these words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, I would like to remind us all that today the world is witnessing the first global pandemic of the social media age, unprecedented in the scale of the challenges it has created. Our sense of loss is frightening. The impact is thought to be of such a large magnitude that even when we halt the physical spread of this disease, the psychological, financial and social implications will have its effects in the long term. When trauma strikes a society, its rippling effect exposes how connected we are and how we want to be. It is compassion and looking out for each other that will support the health of the community. With courage, we will dare to take risks and have the strength to be compassionate and the wisdom to be humble. Today on this theme of hope, courage and resilience, to help us fight this crisis, we will be presenting a medley of songs and poems of a few lines. Dr. Golden, please.
Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls.
This continues with the theme from the Rig Veda, and as Professor Sengupta already quoted from Bhagavad Gita, these are the times when we look back to our spiritual teachings. So a few lines from the Sangathatvam Sanskrit quote, and that lead with Anandaloke. Sangathatvam Samvadhatvam Sangohana Sijanata Sangathatvam Samvadhatvam Sangohana Janata Samanumantra Samiti Samani Samana Mana Sahachitamishtama Nundu বুদ্ধিমা প্রবুদ্ভাসিত মহা গগন মাঝে বুদ্ধিমা প্রবুদ্ভাসিত মহা গগন মাঝে বিশ্ব জগৎ মণিভূষণ বেষ্টিত তরুণে নন্দলোকে মঙ্গলা লোকে বিরাজ শুদ্ধ সুন্দর।
সেই একই সুরে আমি বলবো, যেথা বাক্য হৃদয়ের উৎসমুখ হতে উচ্ছ্বসিয়া উঠে, যেথা নির্বারিত স্রোতে দেশে দেশে দিশে দিশে কর্মধারা ধায়, অজস্র সহস্রবিধ চরিতার্থতায়। কবিতার সঙ্গে সুর মিলিয়ে কবি বলেছেন, সংকটের বিহ্বলতা নিজের অপমান, সংকটের কল্পনাতে হইও না ম্রিয়মান। সংকটের কল্পনাতে হইও না ম্রিয়মান। মুক্ত কর ভয়, আপন মাঝে শক্তি ধর, নিজের কর জয়। মুক্ত কর ভয়, আপন মাঝে শক্তি ধর, নিজের কর জয়। সংকটের বিহ্বলতা নিজের অপমান।
And finally, with a prayer to be fearless at this time, a very famous one from a few lines from Rabindranath Thakur's Bipode More Raksha Koro. Bipode More Raksha Koro, এ নহে মোর প্রার্থনা, বিপদে আমি না যেন করি ভয়। দুঃখ তাপে ব্যথিত চিতে নাই কাঁদিলে সান্ত্বনা, দুঃখে যেন করিতে পারি জয়। সহায় মোর না যদি জুটে, নিজের বল না যেন টুটে, সংসারিতে ঘটিলে ক্ষতি, লাভিলে শুধু বঞ্চনা, নিজের বলে না যেন মালিক হয়, বিপদে আমি না যেন করি ভয়।
Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Every time we read Tagore, we imbibe the eternal truth of positivity. We learn that every cloud has a silver lining, that in the plight of today lies a lesson for tomorrow. Let us pray and hope that humanity survives this ordeal and emerges victorious as a phoenix from its ashes, stronger, kinder, and more resilient than ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, lovely doctors, for giving such progress to our hearts. That was indeed so heart-touching. रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के, कांटों पे चल के भी मिलेंगे साए बाहर के. How beautiful this song tells us not to give up and keep our hopes high to reach our destination. Please welcome Dr. Tanmay Roy, our intensivist, who will sing this beautiful song for us.
In this times of crisis, I just thought about the first song and the only song which comes to my mind is this song. The only song from the movie Imtihan 1974. I just hope that you guys enjoy it. नहीं तू कभी हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बाहर के रुक जाना नहीं तू कभी हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बाहर के ओ राही 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 सुनिए है ये आँखों के लिए है मेरा सुनिए है ये आँखों के लिए है यूं ही चला चल इनके सहारे करती है मंजिल तुझको इशारे कहीं कोई रोक न ले तुझको पुकार के ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही रुक जाना नहीं तू कभी हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे सारे बाहर के ओ राही 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 कारवा है ये तेरा इम्तिहान है साथी न कारवा है ये तेरा इम्तिहान है लोगों को उनका सब कुछ देते तू तो चला था सब लेके कोई नहीं है तेरे अपने हैं अपने ये प्यार के ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही रुक जाना नहीं तू कभी हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे सारे बाहर के ओ राही 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 So I would say that this song was very close to my heart during my PG preparation days. I was quite depressed and this is to keep my moral.
That was unbelievably melodious and extremely motivating, and the round of applause proves it already. So now to further lighten up your moods and bring more smiles on your faces and spread love, please welcome Dr. Madhushri for a startling dance performance, which is a medley of classical and Bengali folk music. Please welcome Dr. Amazing and power pattern. Can't we have a louder applause with our masks on for the beautiful doctor? This unique program in this exceptional situation will certainly make this 11th Foundation Day of our institute a very special and memorable one. It will remind us of our fight for human existence and our team spirit. To give vote of thanks to all those behind this program and our lovely audience, I request our CEO, Dr. Somen Basu, to kindly give vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Shubho Novobarsho and happy birthday. A splendid program, I must admire, in this constraint, with a minimum amount of time of preparation. The program that has gone by today has been splendid, and I must compliment one and all. At the outset, I must thank our chairman who has taken so much of pains to be with us, even if virtually. He has given us his mind and motivated us enough in this kind of oppressive environment. I must take this opportunity with my 4 months plus service that I have with IIT. We have experienced too many things, too many challenges, and probably this is the best opportunity to thank all the consultants, doctors, RMOs, those who are leading their departments and sub-departments,
in extending their hands of cooperation, in succeeding all the hindrances that we have faced as of now. We are still standing because all of us are together. So special thanks to one and all, and those who are not here, and some of you, because of social distancing, were sitting outside. I also want to put it in record, support, cooperation and positive spirits that has been shown by all our staff, the nursing staff, the maintenance, the security, the GTA, the outsourced staff, the food and beverage, and any and everybody that I have missed out, has worked relentlessly. Probably many of you do not know that about 100 people have left their families staying in this building, working day and night for us, leaving their own families back at home. We are rotating them. They are staying in condition probably is not the best, but none of them ever complain. None of them ever complain, and my special thanks it will be conveyed to all these people. We have certain people who are actually helping us from behind. There are many donors, many well-wishers of this institute, which Dr. Rishikesh has said, we are no more kids. They are offering their help, they are donating, they are giving us equipment, they are offering us PPE and things like that in order to keep us floating. My special thanks to the board of directors, the senior consultants, and the various prime movers that we have within our INK for moving their departments in the best way that is possible, maintaining the social distancing, the rostering, and every day the scenario is changing. The decision is changing. Please understand that we are taking decisions under uncertainty. And whenever decision is under uncertainty, maybe many a times we will go wrong. Maybe many a times it will not be as per your liking. Please pardon us if we have gone wrong. But whatever decision we have taken, please understand that we have taken in the best interest of INK so that we can still stand tall. Many hospitals have closed down. We are still alive. And as Mr. Dr. Rishikesh Kumar said, Na Havena Solvena. So power lies in saying yes, not in saying no. No can be said by the sentries, by the gatekeepers. Yes can be said by the superiors. So we must try and say as much yes as possible, but of course not taking risk of disease. And at the end I would say that I'm sure we shall overcome it someday. Thank you.
Our kind words of gratitude. We congratulate our entire team of INK for their perseverance and continuous efforts to keep things so smooth in this global health crisis situation. With this, we come to an end of this memorable event. Please don't forget to have the delicious breakfast which is served with safe hygiene practices. Please take care, have a lovely day and be safe. Thank you so much.